And above all, Father, unite our hearts around patriotism and our commitment to defend the Constitution of these United States of America. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Now I have the Pledge of Allegiance and salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May be seated. Oh, yes, if you could please turn your cell phones off. I'd like to welcome everybody to this town hall meeting. This is the oldest continuing existing post in the nation. It started in 1919, and I would like to thank everyone at Channel 2 News for coming out here. Marla Carter, investigative reporter, Julie Wendell, executive producer of Special Projects, Dennis Meister, cameraman, and Russ McCaskey, Channel 2 anchor. I also want to thank our Post 1 staff, Linda Dicer, secretary, and Mitch Henderson, first vice commander and adjutant. I'm also pleased to introduce our department commander, Tim Smith, and I appreciate everyone coming out.
All right, great crowd tonight. Thank you so much for coming out. I think it shows just how important this issue is and how much it means to all of you. So let's go ahead and get started. And we want to tell you that tonight is about getting information. It's about figuring out what's going on with the VA system, because there's a lot of changes, obviously, that are taking place, and how that's going to affect you. And so we have some folks up here who are going to help you answer some of those questions. So let me just briefly introduce some of our panelists here, made up of Congressman Markwayne Mullin. And then we have Carla Neiman, the veteran caseworker from Senator Jim Inhofe's office. We have Michael Junk, Tulsa Field representative from Senator Inhofe's office. We have Eric Zollner, Deputy District Director from Congressman Bridenstine's office. We also have Vicki Rogers, the Business Office Manager for the Jack C. Montgomery Medical Center, and John Cloud, the Veteran Advocate, who has been helping veterans with their claims for the last 40 years. Let's give them a round of applause and thank them for being here. Okay, now after the town hall meeting, we're going to have some tables around the room set up where you can meet with people who can address your individual problems and concerns. We're going to tell you a little bit about that more later in the program. Veterans reform, though, that's what we want to focus on first. We're going to kind of divide this into two sections. The first is going to be on the Veterans Reform Bill and the changes that are taking place. And then after that, we're going to get into more of the personal issues that you may be having with your cases and help that you might need. But we're first going to start out talking about the Reform Bill and the changes that are coming. And one of the big key points is if you live more than 40 miles from the nearest VA facility, you'll be able to see your own doctor. Congressman Markwayne Mullin has voted for this bill. He joins us now to get things started with a little bit more about what this bill means and what's going on in Congress and how it will affect both Congress and how it will affect you. So let's welcome our Congressman Markwayne Mullin.
First of all, I want to tell you how much an honor it is for me to be able to stand up and serve you today. You did so much for our country. The idea that I had the opportunity to return the favor by serving you is a great privilege. And I never want to miss an opportunity to welcome home all of our Vietnam veterans too. Would you guys all stand, please? Welcome home, guys. Thank you so much. A challenge I'm going to throw to all you guys, too, though. You understand what it's like to walk into some place and you're not wanted. You understand what it's like to feel like, hey, I don't even want to ask a question. I don't even want to walk into that post. I don't want anything to do with it. I'm done. I served my country. Took off the uniform, That's all I want. I want to forget about it. And we look around and we have a lot of guys with gray hair, but we don't have a whole bunch of younger ones. And we've been in war for 12 years. And some with no hair, sir. I can see that. But we have a lot of veterans that are returning home right now. Their family might be at the airport welcoming them home. But the war hasn't ended and no one's actually telling them welcome home. Now, are they going through what you went through? No, absolutely not. May we never repeat that. But at the same time, this room should be packed with men and women my age and younger. With guys that are just now getting home where those memories and those smells are still very fresh. They need help too. And you know there's nothing more comforting than having one veteran help another veteran home. So do your part and make sure that you reach across and you encourage those guys to be here. Now, to talk a little bit about the VA bill that just passed. Fortunately and unfortunately, what's happened on the national stage is it's brought attention to what's been going on across the country. Now, we can sit up here and we can bash the VA, and there's a lot of people that can do that, but the truth is, we do have, when you compare it across the country, we have a pretty good system right now in Oklahoma. Could they do better? They would admit they could do better. Could we do better? Of course we could. But the idea that we're trying to do something now in Congress, you know, I haven't one time ever heard any congressman or any elected official for that matter say that we don't support our veterans. But if that was the truth, then why are you guys even here? Because there should be plenty of money and all the resources the VA needs to do that. Right? But that's not the case. What's been happening is you've been getting a lot of lip service, and we've been putting a lot more pressure on the VA. And they have to spend more time complying with us than they are actually providing care to you. That's got to stop. And one thing that this bill does is it helps cut, hopefully, some of that paperwork out. If you can't go in and see the VA within 30 days, they're supposed to refer you to someone that they've already previously contacted and have a contract with, which I know they're still going through that right now because the president signed something real quick but didn't give adequate time, I believe, to actually get it in place. But they're working their best to try making that happen. But they've got a contract with other people that they can send you to. That's great. Let's provide the care. If you live I think we got somebody from Chelsea, a couple guys from Chelsea, America. That's a huge major metropolitan area that has a restaurant downtown that's got great pies. I'm just telling you that. Isn't it right? I've had every pie there, by the way. If you live 40 miles away from a VA clinic, then you're able to go to a person nearby that you can go see. That's great. They give you a card and let you go do that. But at the same time, this system is going to take a little time to work all the bugs out of. It's not going to be fixed overnight. Be patient with us. Let us work with you. Let us understand what's going on. Don't get to the point where you want to yell and scream. Yelling and screaming, I can promise you, probably isn't going to accomplish a whole lot. Instead, let us work with you. I have William Barnes. Jason's been we've had multiple of these town hall meetings already, but William Barnes, raise your hand back there. The guy, he does my veterans casework, him and Jason Self. If you can see, he lifted up the cane. I don't know why he actually did that, but he has a sword hidden in that. I'm kidding. I don't know if I am or not. William is a veteran too. And he leans on that cane because he's walking around on 2 fake hips. Believe me, he's very passionate about getting issues resolved. But we've got to be patient to help us work through this bill. For a lot of our lady veterans out there, something that hasn't been given hardly any attention until recently is the military sexual trauma that's going on. Man, it's shameful, honestly. It's shameful what's happened. But this has brought it to the attention, and it somewhat addresses it. The spouses, most veterans will tell you their spouse paid a bigger price than they did while they were gone. And the spouses and the dependents that have benefits coming their way, this bill helps address those too. But at the same time, right now, it's on paper. We haven't seen the results of it yet. Let us work with you on it, though, okay? So I'm going to sit down. I took long enough. I think Russ has already hit me in the back of the head. But I appreciate the opportunity you give me, and I'll be happy to open for any questions after this. Thank you.
All right, next we want to hear from Vicki from the Jack C. Montgomery Medical Center in Muskogee, because some of the changes that are going in place, the VA in Muskogee already put in place to begin with. So Vicki, you want to talk about some of those changes before we open it up to some questions?
Thank you. I'm going to sit down if it's okay with you all.
Put that a little closer to you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Hopefully you can hear me. Some of the changes that we have put in place at Jack C. Montgomery and the Tulsa Outpatient Clinic are the extended hours. We do have extended hours on Thursday. On Thursday and Saturday, we have extended hours, and we're looking right now to make that even more days of the week because we realize that that's working very well. We've tried it since last year. We started that last July, and we are seeing patients during those times. So those of you that work, you know, it's good that you don't have to take off work to come to the doctor. So we have done that. We put that in place. The tribal reimbursements, we started with those to help the access of our Native American veterans. Some of those veterans did not want to come to the VA to be seen. They wanted to be seen at their tribal facilities, but they're still veterans. So if they're enrolled with the VA and eligible, we're going to pay for their care at the tribal nation or at the Indian Health Service. So we have agreements with all the tribes and the Indian Health Service here in Oklahoma. And right now, I think on this side of the state, we have all of those in place right now. So we are actually making payments to those tribes. And it opens some access for those veterans who are not Native American that can come into the facility if they want to be seen there. Secure messaging is another thing that we've got going on right now with My Healthy Vet, and I'm sure some of you have signed up for that. And that's really a good service. I have, and I just mentioned My Healthy Vet because we have the coordinator of that right back in the back of the room there. Joan came over from Muskogee, and she can help you get signed up on that. Booner Gray is back there. He's our Native American coordinator, along with John Alley. He's my enrollment coordinator. He enrolls the Native American veterans. So we've got lots of people back in the back of the room that are part of the VA that are here to help you if they have specific incidents that you need to be addressed today. If we can't answer it today, we'll take it back and we'll call you back. And I mean, not tomorrow, not next week. We're going to get back with you this week. So we really are here to help you. But secure messaging, one of the benefits of that is you can go online, you can see your medical record, you can get the results of any test that has been taken, you know, your lab or your x-rays right there. So you have access to your record. That's a very good program. So that's in place and is working. Let's see, MRI, we have put in a new MRI unit there at the hospital. For years, and I've been there 14 years at Muskogee, we've had to fee that out to the community because we didn't have an MRI. We have that now. So that's going to take the load off of a lot of those being referred out to the community. We can do about 2,000 of those at the facility now. That's very beneficial for those inpatient patients that need the MRIs done as well. We've implemented a call center. I know for Muskogee, that's a real problem when you try to call your team and you can't get through because the phones just keep ringing and ringing. We actually have six people dedicated to answering those calls now. And we just started that in, I want to say, yeah, July is when we started that this year, and that is working very well. So we're probably going to continue that. We do these trials to see if we can help in any way. So we do a lot of different things If it doesn't work, we'll back up and start over again. We're not perfect, but we want to be there for you. So your comments are real important to us. We really do want to hear from you. Let's see. And I think I'm going to stop there and let you all ask me questions as well.
Okay, yeah, here's what we want to do. Again, we want to do this really in two sections. The first one's really about the reforms and changes that are taking place. So if you have questions specifically about that, this would be the time to ask those. We have a microphone set up over here, and if you are unable to make it to the microphone, raise your hand. We have a couple of Channel 2 representatives that can come and get your question for you. I see there's one hand up back there. But
Yeah, I probably won't need a microphone.
okay, go ahead then.
My name is Stephen Lance. I'm down from McAllister. I am fortunate enough to work for the Social Security Administration. Two questions. One, why is it so difficult for a vet who is 100% totally and permanently disabled to get their system through Social Security? I understand the guidelines are different. That's the standard answer. But yet, I can look at this young man, like you were saying, the young ones that are coming back and get frustrated, and I know what he's going through. We've all been through it. But yet, him trying to get his claim through Social Security is almost impossible because it is not a 100% from the VA to Social Security. There is for Social Security to the VA. Is there anything that's going to be done about that? And secondly, we're lucky at McAllister because I am there. Because I'm dealing with the VA system as much as I have, I know what all is offered, not all, but the majority of what's offered. So when we get some of these vets in, the homeless, I push for the homeless vets. We get them in there all quite frequently. The other representatives come to me and ask me to go up and speak to these. But yet, there are no liaisons between the tribal, the Social Security, the VA, or any other branches. If I try to get information from the VA for a vet, it is a nightmare. I call the 1-800 number, and then it's like our call center. I could be talking to Albuquerque after I wait 45 minutes to speak to somebody.
Well, first of all, let me take the Social Security and veterans, the VA. They're two, I'm just saying, they're two totally different levels of bureaucracy that you got to navigate through. We, however, can help process that in our office. Now, we have an office in McAllister. Jason Self, if you haven't dealt with him, and Betty Ford. Okay, Jason can handle the veteran side of things, and so when you're calling that 800 number and you get lost in who knows where, you need to allow Jason to help you. When Betty and Jason both are working on this up there, they're communicating in the same office, but the systems have to be worked completely separate. They're going to do their own evaluation. They're going to make their own judgment, and you're going to see different doctors more than likely. There needs to be, without question, a path between the two. But this bill doesn't even touch that. That will be something that we need to look at later on. I believe we have an appetite to fix that now, but it'll probably be in the 114th Congress that we might even look at it. I'm not going to say it's going to be fixed, but there has been more talk about this, about having a direct line between the two, where if they're 100% here, that they ought to be able to receive their benefits and Social Security too. All right. What else did you ask? I'm sorry. I'm lost. Did I answer all that, or did I get... Well, if you can't remember, then I'm definitely here.
What was the second? Establishing like a liaison between the agencies. So we have a direct.
Once again, there is liaison.
That word. Yeah.
That word. Thank you. Between the two. But we need, it depends on who they're talking with. So once again, Jason and Betty, and for those that you're not in McAllister, you can still contact our office. You're probably going to still be dealing with the same people, but it really depends on who you're dealing with. For instance, if you're Cherokee like I am, There's a different individual you're going to be dealing with. You're Chickasaw, Choctaw, Muskogee Creek, whatever, then there's going to be a different liaison that you're going to be dealing with. See, I got that word out. I had to go back and revisit it, prove to you as I can say it. But we had the names and the people and the contact. It's just different people for different one. There's not one person to deal with all of them. All right?
Okay. Any other questions? And again, we got the microphone over here if you want to use it. Go ahead, you sir.
Well, I don't know how to put this other than the fact that, you talk about outsourcing this and that from the VA and everything. Is that not going to eventually cause the identity of the VA to go down? I mean, veterans to go down because, I know there's very few veterans anymore in Congress. So we've not got a representation like we need. You understand what
Right,
I'm saying?
absolutely.
Will that not cause an identity problem? And another thing is Social Security. I do not understand. Well, you can have Medicare, but you can't, looks like that money that you would spend on Medicare would go into the VA system if you're a veteran. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but see, that's
Thank you.
that's the problem. It does make sense. You're in Washington. That was the best piece of advice I ever received was from a Chairman Schuster when I told him, hey, this just makes sense. And he says, well, that's your problem right there. Common sense doesn't belong here. And there is a lot of truth to that. Will it cause the VA to go down? Absolutely not. If you remember, it was just 20 years ago or so that veterans did have a card. They did have access. They were trying a program where veterans did have access to outside areas in underserved places of the country, and in southeast Oklahoma, they were actually utilizing that. So we're actually re-exploring it and figuring out how to make it better. I believe this is actually going to help the VA. If they can, they're still going to have to process the paperwork, but see, they have to contract with these doctors and these clinics because the computers still have to be able to talk. The programs have to talk, and they got to know how to enter it in, and so there's a headache. Like we're working with the Choctaws right now, trying to work something out with them, and it's going to help improve the system. Will it change the VA some? Yeah, but the idea is to change it for the best, not to make it worse. Now, that doesn't mean that every time we've done something in Congress that we've made it better. We've actually made it worse quite often. But we're working with VA, and then we got a whole bunch of veterans that are sitting out in front of me today that's going to hold us accountable. If we make it worse, you guys will let us know real quick.
I got a question about that outsourcing. First off, I believe in giving credit where credit's due. Vicki, I've spoken with you. 6 weeks ago, I had a knee replaced, compliments of the VA. And my kudos go out, I believe it's Reagan out of Muskogee. He handled it. But the problem that upset me
Those Reagan guys, they're good guys. I'll just tell you.
is the VA did a wonderful job approving it. They sent it to the local one there in McAllister, who held it for like 16 days. And I called them and they're going, oh, we aren't booking and we're not taking any new VA patients because we lost our PA. And that's where Reagan came in, because I immediately called him and he's like, the next day it was all taken care of, and within 30 days my knee was replaced. And kudos to the rehab center. Wonderful group of people. Anybody who needs rehab goes to them. They're wonderful. But how do we file a complaint, or who do we go to about, hey, this is wrong? Either get rid of them or get them on the line.
You want to go ahead?
Yeah. Are you talking about the vendor, the clinical people outside?
Yes.
You went to the right person. Reagan is one of them, and he is one of my employees, and he does take the names down of those providers that do not treat our patients right. That is one of the things, and I've got a list because, when we were trying to speed up and get everybody taken care of with this accelerated care money that we got at the end of the year, we got a lot, and we were sending a lot out. We had a lot going out. And there were several vendors that were not playing, well with our veterans. And we have their names, and we're not going to play with them anymore.
Okay, right here in the second row, but if I could encourage you to go to the microphone, because we are streaming this on KJRH.com, so there could be veterans literally all over the world, but hopefully all over our viewing area that are tuning in as well, and they can't hear your question if you're not at the microphone. So if you could, if you wouldn't mind, if you're able to, come up to the microphone, and that'll help out as well.
Yes, when you're 100% disability and you go to your provider at the VA and they refuse to help you with something, what's your options?
We have a patient advocate is number one, who you get to go to and see. Lisa Lewis is in the back of the room. Also, Joe Marengo here works at the Tulsa Clinic. He's also the patient advocate. Those are the people you want to start with. If you don't get results there, I mean, you can write to the director of the hospital. I mean, we're going to get down to your complaint, and we want to hear what you have to say. So,
I've been refused twice.
yeah,
I just
definitely.
wanted to know.
If you've got something like that, why don't you give the name, go back and see Lisa, and let's talk about that one-on-one, okay?
Okay,
All
thank
right,
you.
thank you.
I want to say that if you have a problem, all the congressional offices have people to go see to help bridge that gap. And our office is at 1924 South Utica. And Eric, where's your office?
Congressman Bridenstine's office is at 81st and Lewis in the Cityplex Towers on the 51st floor. But we're also if you call our office or if you have internet, you don't have to come to the office if you don't want to. We'll work with you electronically with the privacy release form. But let me just briefly, and just about everybody in this office, or excuse me, just about everyone in this room knows this, and if you don't, let me say it. The first step in helping you is a privacy release form. And I know a lot of veterans at times, especially the new veterans getting out, if we can just help remind folks, we don't look at it as a burden. We'll help you fill that out if you need help in filling that out. But that's the first step. And the last comment about the patient advocates, I can't say enough for what Lisa and her team has done, and it helps to have that filled out within any of the offices, Congressman Mullen, Senator Inhofe with Carla, or our office, but it's an easy first step. It's the privacy release form, and it can be as brief and concise as you want it to be. But again, we're at 81st and Lewis.
Okay, also feel free to ask questions about the reform, but we also want to kind of move into the second phase and talk about health care benefits in general. And so to do that, let's start with John Cloud. John, if you could, I know you worked with veterans for 40 years helping them with their claims. You spent decades working for the state of Oklahoma Veterans Affairs, especially with this post. Let's talk a little bit about it.
Well, good evening. Glad to have all of you here at post number 1, even the guys from Chelsea. Thank you. Well, I've known them for a long time. I can say that. However, check my tires before I leave. The healthcare part, in fact, Marla, wherever she snuck off to, she interviewed me the other day, and that's exactly the first question she asked was, how's the new law going to help the veterans? And we really don't know for sure, but because we haven't really got it in there yet. And some of that, what I've read on that's sent through me through the emails and other mails, we were already doing, as Representative Mullen said about sexual trauma. I mean, Muskogee Hospital VA has been doing sexual trauma counseling for as long as Janie Ertley was there, and Janie was there as long as I was, 1979 at least. So she's retired now, but they've been doing that here for a long time. But that was one of the part of that law that was passed, was about sexual trauma counseling. And I can vouch for Muskogee on that part. That was here. That was being done already. But some of the other things we've been doing, and I've worked with Vicki a long time, on the fee basis. And sometimes we did it, sometimes we didn't. And it's been a tough go, depending on who was there in Muskogee, about if you had a problem, a health problem, and you lived in Eagletown or wherever, and you couldn't make it to the VA, you needed to see a local person. Sometimes they would grant it, and sometimes they wouldn't. It's really that, and it comes down to, I don't know, some kind of laws that Vicki can give you, but sometimes it just seems they just pick and choose, and I'm sorry, Vicki, but it does seem that way. That one guy will be granted a fee-based card so he can go to his doctor and in McAllister, and then the next guy will be turned down because the VA says they can take care of it right there. But anyway, to get back to that law, to the law that's passed, it's got to help. As Marla asked me, is it going to help? Well, we got to start somewhere, and this is a good way to start. It's got to start with health care. We got to stay alive. Us guys with diabetes and all of those things, they got to keep us alive somehow. And that's where it starts at. Hopefully we'll get seen quicker, as they said. I'll be glad to see if that happens. And more often, not only quicker, but more often. More often than, hey, we'll check your blood again, your glucose readings in another year. Come back in another year. That don't work. We got to do more often than that. But even John Cloud got that answer. And so that's not good. And so that's another thing. Some of those things we got to pick up on, and we just got to, mention it to the director and tell him, or mention it to Vicki before she retires. But get to know those things. Get to know that law once it comes in. See these guys on the front row? They're going to be experts in that, right, Mola? Is he your brother?
No.
Ron Mola?
No, he's got an S on there.
Yeah.
My mother said I was special.
And he was also Navy too, I know. But they're going to, those in your community, those service officers at the post, I saw DAV over here, Bob Brandt, where did he go? He was here. You're hiding around the corner. Those guys, we're supposed to be eventually experts and understand it. And what we don't understand, if something comes up and it's denied for, you don't get your outside doctor, you can't go to get your outside medication, some new medication that's on the market. Don't get me started on new insulin and things like that. That's for whatever reason the VA don't carry. But those things, we got people to talk to. We not only the people at the hospital, but we got congressionals, and I won't hesitate to pick up the phone, call Carla or Dr. Zellner here, and they know that. So anyway, think about that as this new law comes in, that it's not all encompassing. It's not going to be all in changing everything, but it is a start, and that's us, you guys. That's a start for you guys and those young people who are following after us, who are not here tonight. We do have some OIF over there in the corner, I see. And y'all raise your hands. We do have some Iraqi veterans over here. Yeah. There's nothing over there. So we do have a few in here, but we need more. You're right.
I'm down.
You're right. You're right.
Respect, John, don't sit down, please. Trish Richardson. John took care of my husband in 2004. He was his advocate at the VA. My husband has passed away now, and John still helps me as the widow. And all I've got to ask is, who's going to be here for me when John is gone? As the widow. And so many widows don't know where to go. I came to John, and he's helped me the best that he can. Who's going to be here when John's gone for the widow?
Yeah. I don't know. That's a good question. We try to train them. I don't know whether that's a deal on how long I've been around or what, but I had a young veteran, Iraqi veteran in the other day, or Afghanistan, And that's exactly, well, you helped my grandpa back in '78. I know it's about time to retire now. Anyway, I'll turn it back over to Russ, and y'all, if you got any questions, though, you got some lined up, I know.
Yeah, let's go with the line. Whoever's first up, come on up, sir, and fire away.
Good evening, comrades. My name is Ernest Smith. I'm a Vietnam veteran, and I have a two-part question. First of all, I'd like to know what the progress is being done on the new VA facility that should be coming to Tulsa, because I have spoke with Ms. Neiman years ago, and she put that bug in my ear that we needed that facility here in Tulsa because there are over hundreds of thousands of us here within the Tulsa area for that facility. And on the other hand, I would like to thank you, Ms. Neiman, because I'm here representing Dr. Hoffman from Mental Health, PTSD, Vietnam Veterans PTSD group, and they had cut our group back from twice a month to once a month, and because of you, we've got our group back to twice a month, and we need that group. Thank you so much.
The projected completion for the Tulsa VA is supposed to be around 2020. It's going to be fully funded in FY15, which will be our next budget. But since Congress is so good at doing budgets, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that's actually it. That's a projection. Now, I will be shocked. I'll be the first one to tell you I'll be shocked if it's done 2020. But I'll also know that Senator Inhofe, this is his personal baby. And he's going to be pushing this thing very hard. So if you've ever seen a government project come in under budget and on time, we've got the best shot for that to actually happen because of Senator Inhofe. So that's the progress of it, and that's where we're moving with it. All right, sir?
You said 2020?
That's what they're saying.
There is no parking.
Well, sir, I get that, but to consider 5 years for something to be done in 5 years with the amount of red tape we have to go through, most of the time we can't get the permits done that quick. And I'm not trying to be funny, I'm being serious. This isn't going to be fixed overnight. I mean, like I said when I first started talking, this is a start. And it took a long time for the senator to actually get this in there to begin with. All I can do is sit here and apologize, but once again, you have a bunch of men and women that's elected to serve you now. That gives a lot of lip service, but we haven't been given the funding that's required. And we're seeing that change a little bit, but it took something pretty horrific to even make that happen. So we're trying to right the wrong, but it's going to take a long time to turn the ship around. Thank you.
My name's Stanley Shannon, and I want to know where I'm trying to find my medical records. And I had a back injury while I was in the Army. Every time I file a claim, it come back denied with all over my records.
Your military records?
Yes, ma'am.
We have a form that we can help you get those military records.
Okay.
Are you here in Tulsa or are you
Yes,
in
ma'am.
Muskogee?
I'm here in Tulsa.
Yeah, at the Tulsa Clinic, there's a business office as well.
I can't get nothing out of them.
Okay.
I've been to it before.
Then you give me a call, because I can get you that
I'll
information.
help you.
Oh, okay. I was going to say. Thank you.
I've been, I had 2 surgeries on my back. Not one through the VA, one out of the VA, but nobody knows my medical records. It's been over 20 years.
Oh, my goodness.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Perfect, thank you. Sir?
Hi, I'm Bob Brandt that John was referring to. 2 things. First, Dr. Georgie in Tulsa is my provider. 5 weeks ago, almost 6 weeks ago, he put in an urgent test to be done in Muskogee. I never heard anything. On Monday, I called and spoke to the Silver team. From the time I got the first part of the recording until I hung up with the young lady from the Silver team, 5 minutes had lapsed, and I had my appointment. I said, why? I got the pat response, caseload. So she's telling me that there's so many people coming into the Silver Team that somebody couldn't spend 2 minutes on a computer and schedule an appointment. That's unsatisfactory.
You're right. That is
A
unsatisfactory.
squeaky wheel should not have been necessary to get that done. And it didn't just happen to me, it happens all the time.
I apologize for that. I really do.
And now the next part of my question or comments. You spoke earlier about MST. A big push that the government has going on right now between the military, the VA, and everybody else is suicide prevention. This past week, I had a young lady come into my office. She served in the Army for 1 year, 10 months, and 10 days. In less than 2 years, she became an E4. She was given a discharge with the diagnostic code of personality disorder. However, that personality disorder did not occur until after she was sexually assaulted by her superior. It couldn't be reported because it was the superior. 2 weeks ago, she attempted suicide 4 times. VA refused to see her because she didn't have 2 years of service. Wrong. If you're pushing suicide prevention and you're pushing MST needs to be addressed, here's a prime example of it, and the VA refuses to do something over bureaucratic BS of having 1 year, 10 months, and 10 days of service instead of 24 months of service, is doing a great disservice to this woman and to all of our veterans. How can that be addressed? It needs to come from Congress. It needs to come from the VA. There has to be exceptions to the rules in something like that. Stabilize her, then let her go to the community. At the very least, she has claims that will be approved. There's no question about those claims being approved. So she will be eligible for the medical care whenever the benefit side finishes her claims. Why? Why can't she get it now when she needs it? Are you going to wait for this woman who has a 15-year-old son at home to kill herself? And then what benefits are there to the son because his mother killed herself, without any benefits from the VA? Thank you.
Would you like to respond to that?
Let me, yeah, that unfortunately is going to take an act of Congress.
Yes, sir.
We got to move on that. And there has been movement on that. In fact, I spoke to Senator Inhofe personally about this. And I don't think it's going to get moved on right now unless it was an executive order that took place. We were actually surprised that it didn't get addressed with the executive order that the president already put out, because he has made this supposedly a staple of his. But it hasn't. So there's been a movement inside Congress to make this to address this right off the bat. We feel like this is something that could probably be passed with special order and outside of going through the rules, but it just hasn't been brought to the floor yet. But it is being talked about, which is a far cry from where it was at even 6 months ago. Okay.
You're not my congressman, but would you please pledge that you will see that gets done?
Well, I can't tell you anything's going to get done. I'm only one of 218. I can tell you I'm working on it. I'm already working on it. I have to pledge that to you. I'm already working on it. But I'm a peon, but I'm doing my best. All right.
Next question.
My name is Edward Jones III. I served with the 3rd Battalion, 9th Marine Skittle Company in the Northern I Corps of Vietnam during the Tet Offense of '68, and I hit all the hot spots during that time. But during my tour, there was an injury to my right foot. I came off, I guess, a mission and climbing around, and my ankle just gave out. And I'm a pretty strong old boy. So I'm going to talk about something I think that's taboo and a cuss word to the Veterans Administration. And that word is dioxin poisoning, or Agent Orange. And after I got out of the military, I was treated while I was in country, and I even have the doctor's reports and everything. But in 1981, about 10 years after I was out, the Veterans Administration sent us notices to come in for examinations. Well, I complied. Matter of fact, I have a copy of the examination right here. However, over a 20-year period after I took the examination, nothing was done, and I kept filing, complaining. They said, we got you on the Agent Orange registry, et cetera, et cetera. So finally, I got frustrated, I think, in 2009, maybe 2010. So I asked for my military records myself. I had to request it. And found out what the problem was. There was a doctor named Dr. Keller, I believe, misdiagnosed my injury. I'm injured in my right ankle. It ate it up, okay? It was eaten up. And he came back with a GWS to the left foot. I'm sure you guys know what that is, don't you? Gunshot wound to my left foot. The one that's not injured, the one that's not being observed. Not the right foot, the one that was injured. And then he complied that I was in the combat area, I was exposed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But he based his decision, I don't know on what, because I do not have a gunshot wound to my left foot. To me, that's a misdiagnosis. I didn't know for 20-some years. Okay, to make the story short, I remember the doctors telling me, after they had to perform a graft just to make my skin grow, it was eating up my foot, that I had cellulitis. Well, I didn't know what cellulitis was. I'm 18 years old, okay? And when I got out, then when I found this out, I made a report to the Veterans Administration that for my medical records, and I had cellulitis. Well, I found out just yesterday, day before yesterday, cellulitis is for fat people or something, or some other condition. But they do call it lesions in the paperwork. I didn't know what I had, okay? So now I'm in a continuous cycle of, claiming and then appealing and claiming for over 43 years. And I think that the veterans, who suffered from Agent Orange, deserve something better than a continuous cycle of denial. And I think you need to put an end to it or come to some resolution, what you're going to do about it. Because God knows I was exposed, okay? And God knows that I eat and drink the water, you understand, and watch the planes spray. I lived in the jungle.
Did you ever have a physical? An Agent Orange physical?
Yes, ma'am. They
You
have
did,
to do
okay.
that.
That's the Agent Orange physical?
Examination, yes, ma'am, by a doctor. So he misdiagnosed it. I don't see how you go to a chemical examination and come back with a mental problem. You understand? In other words, you can't have a gunshot wound going to a chemical examination. And where did the doctor get gunshot wound from in the first place? And I've appealed and appealed. I've given them the information. They have all this information, but yet the Veterans Administration just rejects it. They did not.
Is there any advice, is there anyone he could talk to
Are we talking about the benefits?
about about a misdiagnosis? And
Where do you live, sir? Where do you reside?
I live in Tulsa.
You could visit with me. Would that be all right?
Yes.
Can I give you my information?
Sure.
Have you started a congressional inquiry? Have you?
No, the Veterans Administration deceives you, you just be waiting on them,
Let me help you. Our office will help you.
Yes, sir.
And so I'm just waiting on them. I'm being patient, you know, everybody say be patient, but what the patient is, more time to wait.
Please call me tomorrow, sir.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go to the next question, sir.
I'm not here for myself. I'm here for my daughter, who was in Desert Storm. She has been going to, she's got total disability from the military. She's been going to VA for 20 years. She's got lots of stomach problems. She's got lots of pain problems. She gets suicidal at times. And she just gets, she's never been treated. She's never been treated for stomach problems. They give her a couple of aspirins for the pain. She comes to me wanting pain pills when I had some. 6 weeks ago, she broke 2 teeth. She went to VA. They said, we'll get it taken care of. It's scheduled for 2 weeks from now for her to go to a regular dentist. She's in terrible pain with it, and they put it off for almost 2 months since this problem came up, which is very typical of all the treatment she's got from the local VA office. When her teeth was broke, she asked them about pain pills. They said, well, we gave you some 6 to 8 months ago. Well, aspirins don't last 6 to 8 months, 30 of them. And it's just a constant runaround. That's all she's ever had. And it's, I don't know if they're not wanting to do anything with Desert Storm people yet or what. But she just gets a constant runaround no matter what she goes in there. She was scheduled last Monday, I think, to go and see an outside dentist. Well, the outside dentist, in my opinion, wanted to run up the bill, so he said, well, I'm going to bring you in for a consult first. So they took her in and talked to her for 15 minutes, sent her home and said, come back in 2 weeks and we'll pull your teeth, if we can get approval to put you to sleep from VA while we do it. Just that kind of thing, just day after day after day. And it's been going on for 20 years.
I do want to get with you on this and talk to you more about it personally. But if you would give me your name, and we'll get that later. I mean, okay. But I do want to talk to you, okay? Specifically. Now, for the dentist, dental eligibility is the only one that's unique. I mean, saying that not everybody is eligible for dental in the VA, not every veteran is eligible. So it is rare, but if she's got an appointment, that means she is eligible for dental.
Oh, yes.
Now, the other thing that we always tell them when they are eligible for dental is we have a walk-in clinic every day.
She's
from
been there.
12:30. Okay, so she's already done
She's
that.
been there.
Okay, so we need to talk.
And, a contrast of how things are done. She's went through all of this stuff for almost 2 months. They called me 3 times on the phone and sent me a letter telling me I need to come in and get my eyes checked. I mean, who cares about my eyes being checked after a year? But she's been run around for over 2 months with something serious she needs help with. Okay.
Let's take one more, and then we're going to be pretty close coming up on 7:30, but I'm going to tell you how we're going to have more people who are going to be able to take your calls or questions that you have here, and also meet with some of the people up here for the few minutes following our event. So let's go ahead and take this question, and then we'll get in as much as we can. Go ahead, sir.
My name is Cornelius Henderson. I had a parachute accident on the 8th of October, 1978. My first experience with the VA was over at the clinic, when they first built a clinic over on Houston. The guy that they assigned me to the team, when I went to let him know what was going on with me, he told me, he asked me, he said, what you want? He said, what could I do for you? He said, what you want? I said, man, I need some help here. I'm in pain from this parachute accident. He said, we can't do nothing for you. This was his exact words. And I said, what do you mean you can't do anything for me? I served 18 years in the United States Army 2 hellfire tours in Vietnam, and you're going to tell me you can't do nothing for me? So I just turned around and walked out of there because I really wanted to hurt him. My next time back to that clinic, which was probably maybe 2 or 3 months or so, maybe longer, I went to the team, and there was a lady on the team. And she asked me the same thing, what can I do for you? And I told her, she said, we can't do nothing for you. This was my first 2 experiences with the VA. That was in 1979. Between 1979 and 2004, I may had went to the VA 5 times trying to get help from my parachute accidents. When I was at Fort Bragg, North Carolina in the 82nd Airborne Division, our battalion surgeon would, his remarks, time he would start off would be, "My, aren't we having fun parachuting out of these mighty fine military aircraft?" He said, "Oh, but you just wait until you get some years on your body. It will let you know what you did when you was younger." The man never lied, because I hurts from here to here. Now, here's my thing right here. This is me. I filed a claim. I was denied my first claim in 1980, I think it was. I was denied. At that time, I was homeless. They told me that they'd never gotten my paperwork, so okay, that's okay. But anyway, I went back to try and get some more help. Nothing. They'd give me some kind of aspirins or something that did nothing until, just to make a long story short, I finally went down to Senator Inhouse's office. Carla had written to the guy in charge down in Muskogee and told him, he said, "Now, you all need to take a closer look at Mr. Henderson's paperwork here. This, man that was hurt on the parachute, accident." Huh? They did nothing. Well, in 2004, I finally went back and reopened the case again. They denied me again. So I quit fooling with them then for about a year or so. They assigned me to a doctor, and I thought he was a doctor, but he wasn't a doctor. He was a doctor's assistant. I saw this man for a solid year until I finally found out that he wasn't even, man, y'all done send me to a fella here that's not even a doctor. I've seen him for almost a year. Okay, they assigned me to another doctor. Now, this guy was a doctor. This man sat up there in front of me and went to sleep 5 times. He went to sleep 5 times. And he would rush me out of there. A lady told me, said, he did the same thing to me. To make a long story short, I finally reopened my claim again and told them when they denied me in 2009, send it to the Board of Veterans Appeal. They had it up at the board maybe 5 months, and they granted me degenerative joint disease. I didn't file for degenerative joint disease. I filed for my parachute impact injuries. So I finally talked to a guy yesterday down in Muskogee and told him what the deal was. He said, "Oh, well, shoots. Parachute injuries and degenerative joint disease, they go hand in hand." I said, "Well, then, if that's the case, why did they deny me my compensation and medical attention?" And my whole thing is, I talked to a lawyer that was on the Board of Veterans Appeal today, and he told me, "You get that paperwork that they sent you, and you send it to me." I talked to this fella down yonder in Muskogee, and he said, "Well, they ain't gonna do nothing." I said, "Well, it's none of your business, no way." I love this country, and I serve this country very, very proudly. But I've been fighting with this thing since 19 1978. Mr. John Cloud have helped me through this thing all the way. Miss Neiman helped me. Senator Barnes' office helped me back when. Congressman Sullivan. But to go through the hell that I've been through with these people over down there in Muskogee, it's a shame before God. I have 5 veterans that told me that them people down there in Muskogee told them, don't you file for no more claims, don't you put in no more, you got a pension, and that's all you get. Now, if I'm lying, it ain't no God in heaven. Them people down yonder in Muskogee at that office downtown there, somebody need to get them people in order down there. Because there's no reason in the world. I got paperwork where I got hurt on a parachute accident on duty from officials. And then you're going to still deny me my just due? I'm very angry about it, too. I'm still angry, and I'll be angry until it gets done. And thank you, Ms. Carla Neiman, for all that you've done for me, because you sure did help this old paratrooper. Airborne all the way.
All right, let's get one more in. Sir.
My name is Fred Bartlett. I'm a World War II veteran. I worked for thank you. I worked for a company in Tulsa, and I had medical coverage all my working life. Of course, I'm retired and have been for many years. But I worked in management, and they decided that they could, when they had a merger, that they could do away with our medical coverage and so forth. So I was wondering what I'd have to do. Of course, I have Medicare, but I still, it covered, like a whole lot covered medical expenses. So I thought what I might be able to do was get Veterans Administration to cover my situation.
Am I off?
Sorry about that.
It's off. Thank you. We definitely want to talk to you. In the back, there's John Alley. He can enroll you right there. He's got a laptop. Go back and talk to John. We'll do it right now.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's go one more, and then I'll kind of tell you how we can also help some of the others who have questions today.
My name is Joe Doty. I live here in Tulsa. I am a Vietnam veteran. I was with the 196th and later transferred to Americal Division. I worked for JAG officers, but the deal is that they didn't tell me that the time I spent out in the field that they used Agent Orange in those places. Well, in January of 2012, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer down in Muskogee Hospital. And while I was taking the treatment, Rogan Noble, who's now deceased, with the Cherokee Nation, he came all the way to Tulsa to help me fill out paperwork to file a claim for Agent Orange. Well, they gave me a temporary 100% because I got prostate cancer. And but I have been disabled as far as Social Security is concerned since '93. I got beat up and hit in the head. But the deal is, when the cancer went into remission, well, they gave me 100%, and because of 100%, I was living in a place that was privately owned, but it was a HUD Section 8 place. And when I got the 100%, my income was too high to live there, so I moved. I moved to a house. Well, they warned me they was dropping it earlier this year, and so with the help of therapists with the VA clinic, I submitted more forms, and the deal is that on the 24th, well, I had a CNP deal with the therapist at the VA clinic, and then what they were dropping it to, the 20%, they changed it to 30%. But I mean, it's a big difference in your income when your pension to $28.50 and it dropped to $5.77. That didn't even pay my rent.
He can help you.
Yeah, you got caught up in a bad deal, but the way the VA looks at it is that if you're cancer, and in your case prostate cancer, but it can be any cancer, if it's service-connected, you're getting well. So you no longer, if it's in remission, as they call it, using their words, then they can and will reduce prostate to 40, 60, 20, whatever. But then it's up to you, unfortunately, or a good service officer, to get something from your doctor, a doctor, to show that, yeah, there's still problems. Is that why you use the walker? Is that?
I have arthritis.
Yeah,
That's why I use
okay.
walker. I actually have an ongoing case. But I have a comment about Bridenstine's office. Emily Helms, she waited almost a week before she forwarded me an email, and she didn't even forward the whole copy because she didn't put the date on it, of what she'd heard. This was on the 30th when I got the email. Well, a few hours later in my mail, I got the official letter from the regional office that they had decided to change the 20% to 30%. Right. And the deal is, the letters imply, and other people on the internet, in this case put up to other people, is that the letter implies I can go back to work. I haven't worked since '93.
Well, it does, but it comes back down to whether the cancer is in remission, and it's in any cancer. So that doctor, the QTC or whoever doctor examined you, said that it's no longer active. At least it was his opinion. Whether it is or not, that's another story. But that was his, so VA, unfortunately, has that power to then reduce that to whatever percentage.
Well, I put this way, they treat the 100% temporary like it's like a person applying for workers' comp, where you're temporarily not able to work. And I was talking about on the internet, they even posted a link to a newspaper article that the person, Vietnam veteran, got prostate cancer, with remission. They tell him to go back to work. Well, the newspaper put a picture of him in a hospital bed with oxygen to his nose.
Yeah. Anymore though, working doesn't seem to enter into it as much as you think. Any rating is really based on the ability to work. Whether it's 10% for a ringing in your ears or it's 100% for a cancer, it's based on your ability. It's taken from your ability to do whatever job.
Now, why I say the ongoing thing, I had a hearing on the 18th at the Muskogee VA regional office, and it wasn't mentioned in the letter that I got. So Larry Jordan, the Oklahoma State VA rep, said that it's still going, don't give up yet.
Yeah.
But the deal is, if it became just the 30%, I had to move back to a Section 8 place. Because I couldn't afford to live where I live. I have a truck. I lose my truck.
Yeah, and it has, especially in. Yeah, we can talk to you back there, or the VA can.
But the deal is, I've said what I want to say.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
All right. We could probably be here all night. We do have some people. I do want to tell you that we have people back here in the back tables. They can help you. Some of these representatives are also going to stick around for a little while to be able to visit with you, because that's all the questions and so forth that we could get in at this time. After we close, though, just do go back there and visit with those people. Make sure that someone answers your question if you have one, and these people will try to take care of you tonight. The VA regional office, they're going to have representatives here in the back as well. And post one, they have service officers to help with your claims as well. I want to remind you of that. I want to thank all of you for coming out tonight. I want to thank all of you for your questions, your comments, and of course your service as well to our country. And let's turn it back over to Lori to wrap it up.
Well, before I end this meeting tonight, Soldier's Wish, I'd like to introduce to you Crystal Mitchell from Soldier's Wish. They would like to grant us some more free memberships tonight to Post 1, so if anyone's interested in joining the American Legion, this post, Soldier's Wish will pay for it. This is
First of all, I just want to say thank you all who are veterans, or if there's any active duty members here, for your service. We are so grateful for everything that you've done for our country. As Lori indicated, Soldier's Wish was involved in the makeover for Post 1. We love our military and our soldiers, and we just wanted to say for any of you who are here that are not members of the American Legion, if you want to go back to the table in the entryway, we will pay for your first year membership with the American Legion. So thank you again for your service to our country.
Thank you, Commander. This has been a wonderful evening, and let me announce, and I've handed one of these out to everyone, but for those on the internet, Congressman Bridenstine, who's visiting military bases in California right now as we speak, and again apologizes that he couldn't be here, but thank you, Congressman Mullen, for being here. Thank you very much. But we're going to have a town hall, Congressman Bridenstine, at the Mabee Center on Tuesday, October 21st, from 6:30 until 8 p.m. The title of it is Securing America. Tuesday, October 21st, at the Mabee Center, Town Hall, Securing America, with Congressman Bridenstine. Thank you. Thank you, Commander.
Well, I would like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I think it's been a very successful event, and I hope that everybody benefited from it.